Okay, good. I'm glad you got it on the screenshot. So, all right, so here we go. We are getting ready to get started. Hope that you are well. If you are new to my block on the Scoposphere, my name is Adeea Rogers. I'm known online as the Trendy Socialite. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Trendy Socialite. I started doing natural hair YouTube videos back in 2010, started planning natural hair events in 2011, and created International Natural Hair Meetup Day in 2012. Because of that, I got the opportunity to mentor and train and consult with and coach bloggers and vloggers and business owners, product makers, service providers, primarily in the natural hair, beauty, fashion, and wellness industries. And it has since expanded into a lot of different areas. So I primarily talk about purpose, how to identify your purpose, how to live into your purpose, how to figure out the passions that will help you live out that purpose. So I've also become known as the purpose pusher. And so that's essentially what I do. So earlier today I was on Scope and I was talking about just some branding things, because I also talk about branding and marketing and social media, because that's what I do full time. And it's also a great love of mine. I've been studying branding since 2003. So it's a great love of mine. And we were talking about some things, and somehow the subject of emails came up. And so people were like, talk about emails. Do you have any tips? And when you know it, I do. So here we go. We're going to talk tonight about some email tips. Just so you all know, I manage alone like somewhere in the neighborhood of around 20 emails. So I have work emails, I have emails for International Natural Hair Meetup Day, for the Trendy Socialite, for church, for Black Biz Scope, for Adeea R. Rogers, which is like the coaching consulting side, then my personal email that, like friends and family have. So I have, and there are multiple emails oftentimes attached with all of those. So I have multiple emails. I have about 20 emails that I manage. Some days it works well, other days it doesn't. So some of this is going to be do as I say, not as I do. It's going to be some best practices, some things for you to consider and think about as you are preparing, and just trying to manage that as it relates to your branding, your business life. And so a friend of mine was on the Scope and was like, yes, because there's literally money in your inbox. And so if you don't learn how to manage it now, you will lose money. That's the bottom line of it. So hopefully these tips will help and will give you some ideas on how to manage it rather than it managing you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So the first thing is to brand your email auto reply. So I really have to be honest with you. I do not care for email auto replies. Like, do not care for them. One reason that I don't like them is because it's pretty much stating the obvious. So you say, well, I'm going to email you back within a certain amount of time. I figure that. Figure you're going to do that. And then the second thing, it's another email that I have to delete. So I don't really care for email auto replies, and I know a lot of people do them. I just don't like them. If you are going to use them, however, and if you want me to be less salty about having to delete them after a certain point, then at least brand them and make them useful. So don't just state the obvious that I'm going to email you back in 24 to 72 hours or whatever your time frame is, or state the fact that you're kind of busy. I know. Trust me, I know. So at least try to brand the auto reply. and make it so that you can perhaps get a new email subscriber from it. You can get someone on your website or your blog from it. You may even get someone that will purchase a product because you send them over to your website with a code. Whatever it looks like, find a way to really brand that email reply. So here's one thing that you can do. Well, actually, I just told you several. Is it like invite them to your email list, send them somewhere else on your website. So that is one of my email tips, is to brand your email auto reply. Make sure that there's something useful in there. If there's a freemium offer, then use that to get people to sign up for your email list. That makes me a little less salty when I get the email auto replies, because I'm like, at least this is useful. And if they're emailing you for the first time, it is definitely useful for them. Okay, I try to operate by, well, actually, no, I don't. Let me quit lying. Once a year, I try to operate by this 0 email inbox. At the end of the year, I try to spend a few days literally cleaning out, clearing up, organizing my email inbox. And, you know, with multiple emails, it can be hard sometimes to do that, but it is absolutely worth it. Something about starting out the new year with nearly a 0 inbox is just really mentally freeing for me and physically freeing in terms of space. Now, I know a lot of you are like, but you know, somebody gonna say something, and then I got an email from 1992 when emails first came out, in case, you know, somebody want a trip. Okay, now in this age of archiving, in this age of electronic media, there has to be a better way for you to keep it than just having this email sitting there in your inbox. Like, doesn't that number bother you? Like right now, let me see what I have in my email inbox. My total number of messages is like 2,000. A lot of it is junk and spam, I will say. Not spam, but just, you know, stuff that I'm email list that I'm a part of and stuff like that. So sorry about that. Somebody wanted to call me while I'm scoping. So yeah, all of those numbers bother me. Those numbers really bother me. So people that have like 10,000 emails and, you know, astronomical emails like that, I don't see how you do it, because that would just drive me crazy. So every year, so make yourself a note or a challenge every year right around the holidays, because we do have, you know, some spare time, and you know, that week between Christmas and New Year's, like sometimes we get kind of bored, especially after family leaves and stuff like that. So I look at doing it during that time when I have spare time and stuff like that. So look at getting your email down to 0. So that means using the 4D method of dealing with your email inbox. And the 4Ds are delete it, which you can probably do with a lot of them. Delete it. Do it if there's something in the email that you absolutely need to do. If it can be done, if and only if it can be done in 2 minutes or less. So delete the email if it can be deleted. Do it if it can be done in 2 minutes or less. Delegate it if you have a team, or if it needs to go to somebody else. Delegate that puppy away. Don't keep that stuff. Don't keep it. And then defer it. So if it takes longer than 2 minutes, you defer it until you have more time to work on it. And then even at that point, use the ability to label things, to have folders. I especially use that at work. I always use folders. So, you know, I'm able to, you know, at least put it in a folder, and rather than having to look through like 600 emails in my inbox, I'm only having to look through maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 in that one folder. So use folders when and where you can so that you can get all of that done. And you can defer it and organize things. That's how you get to a zero email inbox. It doesn't mean that you don't have any emails. It just means that you have that you only have you don't have any in your inbox. They could be in folders, they could be in other places. You could keep that data somewhere else. They're just not in your inbox, okay? So that is that's one way for you to do it. Another thing, how many of you have heard of the Gmail canned responses? Gmail canned responses. This has been a lifesaver for me as I'm managing and have to do it like every week, have to manage the Black Biz Scope account and the number of emails, and we have to send instructions and all of this kind of thing. Gmail's canned responses, golden, because you can literally craft a response. I started using it when I was planning an event, and I essentially created my email template in there, and I literally, all I had to do was insert that that canned response into the email. I could type in, their name at the beginning, customize it however I wanted to, but everything was in there. I had pictures in there, I had hyperlinks in there, all of that was in there. I didn't have to, the formatting stayed the same, so if anything was bolded or underlined, it stayed exactly the same. So I didn't have to do all of that formatting or anything like that. It is very much like an email template. But for those of you that primarily use Gmail, it is an amazing, amazing feature and something that you should absolutely use. So what you can do is, if you get the same question repeatedly, whether it's about content, whether it's about your products, whatever is your event, whatever it's about, if you keep getting the same kinds of questions over and over again, you can create a canned response. Because, I mean, you're saying the same thing over and over and over again, but sometimes it either loses its flavor or it loses its like friendliness, simply because you are like having to do it like all the time, and you might be doing it from your phone, you might be doing it from your iPad, whatever. So I would highly suggest that you look into the canned responses and use those. One other tip for you is to look at, and I got this from Tim Ferriss of the 4-Hour Work Week, is to look at a time, or to tell people and use your auto reply or your canned response to say, I only check emails during this time period. And so I do that with, well, it's unspoken, I don't have it written anywhere, but people got to know when I was typically online for INH&D. So they knew, because I'm working, they knew that it would be like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I would respond, and I could keep responding or whatever, provide them with information. It was a little bit harder for me to do that during the day sometimes. So if, whatever your time is for checking your emails and answering them, maybe put that in your auto reply so that people won't be expecting, because sometimes people have this unreasonable expectation that you're just sitting there waiting for their email, and so you should reply or respond right away. I got things to do. Okay, so use that as an opportunity to just sort of tell them that, hey, I'd love to respond to your email, but I only respond during this time period, okay? And you can say, if it's urgent, contact me on my cell. Because guess what? Not everybody's gonna have your cell. So yeah, you see how that works. Alrighty. So the other thing that I would highly recommend for email management is to also build your email list. Build your email list. This is huge and this is crucial. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to have your own target or ideal audience to draw from and not have to literally rely on the kindness of strangers or always pay for advertising via other channels or other people's platforms. You want to have your own. It is good, like that commercial from the 80s used to say, no, my brother, you got to get your own. Absolutely. It's the same way with your email audience. So be sure that you're intentional and strategic about growing your email list. Okay. So let's see what else I want to talk about. Oh, okay. One of the things that I shared on the scope today was the 30-10 email management system. So I suggest at least 2 to 3 days a week that you check 30% of the emails that you have. So if you have 1,000 emails, you're going to check 30% of that number. So that means your target is to go through, what is that? What's that number? I don't know. It's late and I don't do math. So you, for 2 days, and I say 2 days, typically like Saturday and Sunday, or maybe Friday, because we have a little bit more time to do it. Check 30% of your email. So if you have 1,000, check 30% of that number and use the 4 Ds. You either do it, you defer it, you delegate it, or you delete it. The other days, like kind of the week, check 10% of your email. That's how you can, like not get overwhelmed with it. Knowing that if you get an inordinate amount of emails every day, sometimes even 10 is a lot if you have to really think about a response or do something with it, in terms of having to schedule something or, do some other things with it. It can be a lot. So sometimes you just want to, deal with it, but you don't want to get to the point where you have, thousands and thousands of emails and you can't find anything. You don't know what you've really responded to. And that's what I'm suffering from right now. And that's why, like, some of my emails are literally going unresponded to because my email inbox is just in shambles in a lot of respects. So I need to spend some time doing that. So this was timely advice for me. This was timely content for me to share so that I can clean up around my own house. And so I'm probably going to do some of that this weekend, or at least Friday, and keep that, try to manage that a little bit better. So I do have some other tips, and they are available in my email management system WeBook. Okay, so 30% of whatever your number is, you want to check 30% of that number. So I do have a email management WeBook. It's just a very, very small book. It has these things in there. It has some other tips in there. I talk more about the autoresponders. I even give you an example of how to use, of how to craft your message about I only check messages during a certain time. If you are interested in that ebook, you can go here. The link is down there, bit.ly/manage emails, bit.ly/manage emails, and you will see that information. It's a digital download. You'll get it instantly. It is currently $2.99, but because you're my friends and you stayed up late to hear my scope, you can actually use the code RichFriends and download it for get $1 off. So you can download it for $1.99. So everything that I talked about today is in there, as well as some other tips that I didn't talk about in terms of the autoresponders. You know, make even a message that you can use to say what times you're going to check email, and, you know, to be friendly about it and not be like, I only check emails at a certain time. No, but it just says, you know, because I'm working or due to the high volume of emails, this is the time that I typically respond to emails. So if you are interested in that, but you know, some people, they'd be like, if you are interested in that, I do encourage you to download it. Again, it is bit.ly/manage emails, bit.ly/manage emails. And, you know, I would even suggest it for work. Like, you know, a lot of people where I work, they only check me emails certain times of the day. And so I'm kind of used to that. But then there are certain people that expect for you to respond. And then, you know, I sent you an email 5 minutes ago. Okay. Give me 5 minutes to respond. You know, it's kind of like, ugh. And so if you're going to use an auto reply that's informative or that leads me somewhere else with something that I can do kind of in the meantime while I'm waiting for you to respond, then I'm okay with auto replies. But for you to just be like, I'm going to reply to you. Thank you for your email. I'm going to reply in a couple of days. I know. Truly, I know. So thank you so much for joining me. I am a little tired, so I'm going to head to bed. I hope that you got a few tips and tricks that you can use and implement. A lot of the stuff, it is kind of one and done. You set it up one time and then you are done with it. And it's good things for you to do, and you don't really have to think about it, and it helps you a lot. So there you go. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Take care and be blessed. Bye.